welcome back to my channel. So I went to do organization of my freezer stash, well, the little bit of stash that I have of my breast milk. So I went to the Dollar Tree and I bought these few items. What I found were these little crates, which I don't actually know if I'm gonna use these. I saw these, they were $1, so I got 7 of them, so I'm gonna see. I didn't know, like I was thinking about, you know, if you lay them flat in there or lay them standing up, I'm not sure. And then I saw these stand and fill Ziploc bags, so I'm gonna give these a try too. I have 12 total, and then let me show you my freezer stash of milk. I'm trying to get this organized now before I let it get out of hand, but this is where I am right now for milk. All of the dates, the old dates, are at the very bottom, so I'm going to try to do this quickly so nothing falls out. So I'm going to bring y'all along. Hope you enjoy. Make sure you hit that red subscribe button, thumbs up. Any comments, questions, video ideas, anything like that, just let me know. Bye.
Okay, y'all, so for my label, I put the date, the time I pumped, how many ounces is in the bag, and then my son's name. What I was reading, I guess when you go to daycare, because he will go to daycare in a few months, that I guess it's good to label the bags with their name on it, so when you bring the breast milk, they'll have it. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I've just been putting his name on all the bags.
Coming to get you, dying to feel your touch. Wish me the best of luck. Coming to get you, wish me the best of luck. Trying to steal your hand, coming to get you. Coming to get you, coming to get you. Coming to get you.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a month. I had the baby, there's so much going on, but I wanted to go ahead and get this video out. I know that I've been getting a few comments about cleaning videos, and I'm gonna start those back up soon. I think the last one I did was that quick nighttime kitchen clean with me, so I'm definitely going to I'm definitely gonna get some more cleaning content out, but I did, and when my son first got here, I had a lot of questions about breastfeeding, breast storage, the freezer, what to do, what not to do, that kind of thing. So I wanted to record a video on it, just some tips and tricks that I found. This is going to be really quick. And I guess I had to was in both worlds with it. At first, I was exclusively only breastfeeding when my son was first born. He was born March 30th, and then after that I started to exclusively pump because I was having some issues with breastfeeding, and I guess for me personally, the nursing sessions were taking a very long time, 30 to 40 minutes, and I just wasn't interested in it. So I started exclusively pumping, and then I got a lactation consultant, which I highly recommend if you were having any issues with latching, pain, positioning, anything like that. I of course had to pay out of pocket for it because it wasn't covered by my insurance, but she was able to write what's called a super bill for me, and then I sent that into my insurance and they ended up covering it, so they paid the full amount. And I'll link her information down below. I'm in North Carolina, so if you're in the area, I'll link her information down below. She was great, a lifesaver. So after I had the lactation consultant is when I went back to breastfeeding. I won't say exclusively breastfeeding because I am working now, so when my son is at home with my husband while I'm working, I do have to give him bottles. So I'm not exclusively breastfeeding, but it is breast milk, so I'm pumping and also breastfeeding. So milk storage, this was so confusing to me at first. I actually went on the CDC website, and I'll put the chart up here, down here, over here, or somewhere on the screen so you can see exactly what to do with the breast milk. And I'm actually going to pull the chart up now. I know it like the back of my hand now, but of course when you are first having a baby, it can be a lot. when can you leave it out, when does it go bad, what are you supposed to do. It's a lot. So let me pull up this chart. Okay, so for freshly pumped, and this is just a general synopsis, again, I'll put the chart up on the screen somewhere. For freshly pumped milk, so freshly pumped, freshly coming out of your breast, you can leave that out for 4 hours. You can refrigerate it for days. And then with the freezer, which I had no idea, I always just thought you could keep it in a deep freezer. So not the freezer in like your refrigerator, but a deep freezer, like a deep freezer that people usually keep in their garage or in a different area, for 1 year. But when I was reading the CDC guidelines and also talking to my pediatrician, she was saying ideally they want you to use milk within 6 months because the fats or the nutrients in the milk, I guess, as the baby grows or ages more, that milk won't be so beneficial nutritionally to them. So they really want you to use it within that 6-month time frame, which I had no idea. So within 6 months is best, but up to 12 months is acceptable. And then when you're bringing milk out of the freezer that's thawed, that's previously frozen, in the refrigerator, you can keep it up to 1 day, 24 hours. And with that thawed milk that you're pulling out of the deep freezer, you can never refreeze it after it's been thawed. So you just want to keep that in mind. And then if you're pulling it out of the freezer and like immediately unthawing it or warming it up, like if you place it into a warm cup of water to thaw out, you can use that within 1 to 2 hours. And then anything left over from a feeding, so like if the baby didn't finish the bottle, 2 hours, you have up to 2 hours to use that. So of course, I guess the idea is with the bacteria, once the baby drinks, at least what I'm understanding, once the baby drinks the milk, and I guess that saliva and the milk mixes, it makes that bacteria, so you just don't want the baby to get sick. The milk will go bad. Of course, if you have a question about if the milk is okay, you can usually smell it. Sometimes they have a little smell to it. I've never had any issues so far with it, but that's just the chart that I used off the CDC's website. It was very helpful for me. So of course, what I have been doing with going back to work, I'll have, and I'm kind of 50% at home and 50% out for my job, so I'm kind of still at home, kind of not. So I've been keeping 2 to 3 bottles in the refrigerator for my husband. My son Kari, he eats about every 2.5 hours, and then when I'm home, I usually just nurse him if I can, but if I'm unable to because I'm working, we'll have that bottle. Yet I have not needed to go into my freezer stash yet. Oh, hold on, my battery's dying. Okay, y'all, sorry, my battery died. So far I have not had to go into my freezer stash yet, and I don't guess I was intentionally making a freezer stash. What happened with me initially is when I was exclusively pumping, I was pumping every 3 hours for 25 minutes. And I would get, from my right breast, I could get like 10 ounces. And then from my left breast, I would get maybe 3 or 4 ounces with each nursing session. But of course, my son was only drinking, I want to say at that time it was 2.5 ounces, 3 ounces when I was exclusively pumping. So I had all of this extra milk, so I just started putting it into the freezer. In my mind, I was thinking, I'm going back to work. I need this milk if I travel. So it is very helpful for me, at least when I do travel, because for me, I do travel, and I won't always have my son with me. Like I have a girls trip I'm going on in October. So just different things. So I do travel and I will need that. I'm not always with him. So that's why I started to have build up my freezer stash. So it has been very helpful, but the thing I'm finding now is our freezer is full to capacity. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what I need to do with the milk, because I am still nursing him and I am still pumping what I'm pumping now. So I still have all this milk in the freezer that I haven't touched yet. but we'll see how that goes. But I just wanted to show y'all my freezer organization. I will say, tip number 1, don't wait to organize. I will bold that on the screen. What I did was I just started throwing my milk bags into the freezer, and it was a mess. It took me an hour and a half to get it all sorted out by date. I sorted it out into standing still Ziploc bags, and I think there will be a clip in the beginning or the middle of this video showing you the Ziploc bags I used. I think in each Ziploc bag I was able to fit 8 to 10 of my breast milk bags. In each bag, I initially started freezing it in 3-ounce increments, and then I went up to 5-ounce increments because I was making so much milk and I didn't want to use so many bags, and then my freezer could only hold so much. So I froze in 5-ounce increments, about 8 to 10 bags in each Ziploc bag. Another tip that I'll have for you is to label the bags. So like I said, in the deep freezer, the CDC recommends you can use that milk up to a year, but it's optimal up to 6 months. So I wrote the dates in each bag. I'll show an example somewhere on the screen. For example, if the milk in the bag is from May 10th, 2021 to May 15th, 2021, I'm going to take that first date of May 10th, and then I write on the bag 6 months from that date. So that would be 11/10/21 is 6 months, and then May 10/22 is 1 year. So I'll know exactly what I have in the bag and when I have to use it by, and just something that's clear on the Ziploc bag where I'm not having to dig through it. Also, another tip, I rotate my milk out. So I'm putting the oldest dates on top, the new dates on the bottom. I think ideally you're supposed to rotate in the frozen milk into like the milk your baby is drinking on a regular basis, so you can rotate that milk out. But again, I am pumping quite a bit of milk, so I just honestly, I don't get a chance to do that. I'm not rotating milk out. I know that you're supposed to, but I just don't have time to. I did try to do that in the beginning. I would take maybe 2 bags of frozen milk out, unthawed, for my baby to drink, and I would do that maybe 2 times out the week, but it just became time consuming in addition to all the other things I was having to do with him. I just wasn't worried about it. And then my husband's at home with him during the day because my husband works from home, and I'm sure I could explain it to him, but I just didn't want to worry myself with it. So ideally you're supposed to be rotating it out. I know that they do have, if you are in a situation where you are in an oversupply, they do have milk donation groups. I think you can donate to hospitals. I'm not sure how that works with COVID and things like that, but that is options. I have seen some YouTube videos where people are just pouring their milk out, which I have a hard time with that, because I know what it takes to pump the milk and the time and the things you're buying, and you just don't necessarily want to pour it out, but those are options. So I will show y'all clips of me putting my milk, organizing my milk. What I did find, because again I just had a big, like, it was everywhere, I bought little storage containers from the Dollar Tree, and so I sorted milk bags out. Like, I would put the May 10th to May 15th here, or May 1st to whatever dates, the range of dates, and I divided them up by each storage container, and then I would just put that certain amount of milk in the Ziploc bag. So that was a little bit better for me, instead of just digging through the freezer, because again I let it get way out of hand, which I shouldn't have. Another tip that I'll have, you want to make sure that you freeze your milk flat, completely flat as you can get it, because you want them to fit into whatever you're storing it in best. Even if you're just putting it into the freezer, you want to make sure you are utilizing the room in the freezer the best. So you want to make sure you're freezing flat. What you're going to do, you want to make sure you get the air out of the bag. So I'm going to show you a little trick that I picked up on YouTube or TikTok, or I think it was Instagram, maybe somewhere. But you take the breast milk bag and you put it on the edge of the counter and just kind of swipe it along the counter and zip it, and that's making sure you get all of that air out. Another thing is to make sure that it freezes flat. You don't want to completely fill the bag. So each bag that you use, I use the Linoish, the purple with the purple writing on the bags. You want to make sure you're not filling it over the max line, because that will also prevent it from freezing flat. So that is a big thing in terms of space. You want to make sure you're freezing flat. You want to make sure you're getting that air out of there. Also, you want to make sure that you are rotating the dates out if you can. But even if you're not doing that, you want to at least rotate it in the freezer to make it easier for you when you do actually have to go into your freezer stash for whatever reason. So oldest on top, new on bottom. And I'll take once a week to rotate out. Because I am working now, what I am pumping is actually for my baby. So during the day now, like I have 2 bags I freeze, usually 2 bags a day that I'm freezing. That's extra, and then everything else is for him during the day. And then when I get off work, I'm nursing him. So I don't know how many bottles I guess my husband is actually feeding him, but it's kind of half and half with him because again, I'm not solely away from the house for my job, but I'm not necessarily solely at home either, if that makes sense. So of course you have to do what works best for you. The organization, the biggest tip for me, those Ziploc bags are a big help, and also labeling the outside of the bags. When I was initially doing this, I was just kind of throwing them into the Ziploc bags and I had no idea what was in each thing or what was going on. So that is a big tip that I'll have. You want to label whatever you're putting it in, whether it's Ziploc bags, containers, if you're using the freezer in your actual refrigerator, whatever you're putting it in, label it. I literally just got printer paper and a Sharpie. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I got the Ziploc bags from the Dollar Tree, and of course the Lano-ish breast milk bags. I think I got those from Target. Of course that's an expense that you'll just have to, you have to pay for it. I haven't tried any other types of bags. I think Medela has some bags that I got, but I didn't really care for them. I like the Lano-ish, I don't know how to say it, but I like those bags best. So that is what has been working for me. So again, I'll list those tips. You want to make sure you're freezing flat. You want to make sure you're getting the air out. You want to make sure you're rotating out by date. Oldest on top, newest at the bottom. You want to make sure you're labeling the outside of the Ziploc bags, which is so important. You want to stay stocked up on Sharpies. You want to stay stocked up on those Ziploc bags. Again, I got everything I needed from Dollar Tree. I got the containers for organization from Dollar Tree. The biggest thing is have an organization system, because again, for me in the beginning, I did not, and it was a complete and total disaster, and it took me almost 2 hours to organize everything. Again, I haven't touched my stash yet. I don't know. I am going on a girls trip in October with my friends, so I'll use the stash then because my son will be home with my husband for 3 days. So I'm sure I'll use it here and there. When we get closer to the 1 year mark, I'm hoping or planning to nurse or breastfeed for a year. We may go past that, we'll see. I will say, most important, this is just my journey and what I am doing with my son and his feeding and what we're doing. But fed is best. Whatever works for you, whether that's formula, whether that's solely breastfeeding, whether that's solely pumping, whether that's supplementing, whether that's getting breast milk from someone else through donation, whatever it is, as long as your baby is fed, that is all that matters. I will say, and at least with me being a first time mom and a new mom, you really have to stay sane. So whatever it is you have to do to stay sane and healthy and happy, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So there is no need to stress yourself out, pull your hair out. You can't drive yourself crazy with this. Whatever works for you works for you. Whatever works for me works for me. Whatever works for the next person works for the next person. At the end of the day, as long as your baby is fed, as long as your baby is healthy, as long as your baby is happy, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how they eat. It doesn't matter if it's formula. It doesn't matter if it's breast milk. It doesn't matter if you're nursing. It doesn't matter if you're exclusively pumping. Everybody needs to mind their business and just do what works best for you. Of course, I hope you have people who can encourage and support you, and that's great. But don't feel forced into doing a certain thing. Don't feel like you have to. Don't feel like you're a failure if you don't do this certain thing. you're winning and succeeding if your baby's eating and they're gaining weight. Most important, as long as they're gaining weight, that's really all that matters. So I hope that this helped. I hope that my breast milk organization tips helped. If you have any questions, comments, just leave those down below, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.